Check this out. Everybody. Check it out.
Anime, short form for Japanese animation. What originally started in 1917 as drawings on a chalkboard given movement in life, has become one of the many leading forms of animation in the world. The modern iteration of anime we see today originally took form as propaganda during the Second World War, inspiring many writers and artists to create their own stories that have never been seen before, telling compelling stories of fantasy, adventure, drama, even more. Often seen alongside the ranks of science fiction, telling tales of the very thing we see every day, but from a different point of view: humanity, and the journey that got us here. It took several years to get these series over to North America, with shows such as Speed Racer, Astro Boy, Star Blazers, Robotech, and Voltron through syndication. But when it got to Canada, it was a goldmine. YTV and anime have had a long and interesting history that are intertwined, and anime has had a legacy here since the very start of the channel. There were trials and tribulations for these series to even be able to get released here. And for this medium, this won't be just one episode, but several. Talking about the shows that have made an impact here, ones that have been talked about for generations young and old, how it started, and how it ended. Starting with the shows that appeared on weekdays and Saturday mornings. It's time we begin to explore that legacy. Now let's start at the very beginning. 1988 to be exact. YTV had just launched with a barrage of shows from many different countries. Some series were easy to import, as the first few anime to appear on the channel were The Adventures of the Little Prince, based on the book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, Mapletown, based off a rip-off toy line of Sylvanian families, or Calico Critters here, and Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs. A decent lineup for the first few years of the channel. However, by the early 90s, it became more of a challenge. How? Well, around that time, the CRTC, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, an agency of the Canadian government who have been major advocates of promoting Canadian content, wanted to keep some focus on said content, which became difficult at the dawn of cable and satellite television here. And what does this content usually consist of?
Don't touch that dial, it's 30 seconds of cheap Canadian content. Compliments of the beef.
They imposed a broadcasting act for every radio station and television channel to follow, which states that a channel or radio station must play content that is at least 35% Canadian made, either being produced or written by a Canadian. So for example, if you own a radio station that played classic rock, and you played, say, AC/DC, Queen, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones, for every several tracks you were to play of them, you were required to play a track from a Canadian artist, such as Rush, The Tragically Hip, Blue Rodeo, and April Wine. Nothing wrong with that. It helps the Canadian artists get exposure on stations with a vast majority of their music either being from the US or the UK. That went the same when it came to television. For every Seinfeld, Friends, or Big Bang Theory, you would air a Corner Gas, Schitt's Creek, or SCTV. YTV looked at this and had an epiphany. Many of the anime they have already brought over, like Saber Rider and Mapletown, were 50% Japanese in animation and 50% American with an English dub, having a studio such as Saban Entertainment dubbing the series. YTV found a loophole, and was able to import anime by having 50% Japanese in animation and around 35 to 50% Canadian with an English dub made in Canada. Now that is Canadian content! With TVO having shows such as The Adventures of the Little Prince, space airing reruns of Robotech, and the CBC's French counterpart, Radio Canada, airing anime for French-speaking audiences for many years, for YTV, their anime revolution had begun. Under this rule, YTV started by bringing in 4 series that were all about cats, a mermaid, and a bee. The first show was Saban's The Adventures of the Little Mermaid, a show that was intended to capitalize on the success of the Disney movie, which funny enough got a series a few years later. The second was Hello Kitty and Friends, based on the popular Sanrio character, which was not only produced by YTV, dubbed in Canada, specifically Toronto, but it was also funded by Telefilm Canada. Yes, you are reading that correctly. This was seen as a Canadian project. The third was Maya the Bee, based on the books by Waldemar Bonzels, which the Saban Entertainment version of the series was a staple on Nick Jr. for a while, and had a Canadian cast of voice actors including Pauline Little and Richard Dumont. The other show about cats was just crazy.
Will somebody please cue that fight?
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Oh yeah!
Samurai Pizza Cats follows a group of samurai, actually they were ninjas, who also run a pizza parlor as a cover. When the evil Big Cheese, Geriatric, and Bad Bird want to dethrone the current rulers, Emperor Fred and Princess Vi, it's up to Speedy Cerviche, Guido Anchovy, and Polyester to suit up and stop them from taking over Little Tokyo, a civilization of robotic anthropomorphic animals. The show was produced by Saban Entertainment, and while it was an American company, it was dubbed in Montreal. When it came to this series, Saban never got the proper scripts or even animation cells from Tatsunoko Productions of their series Ninja Cat Legend Tayande. So what did they do? They went nuts! And create a more comedic dub along the lines of Ghost Stories before even that existed. Containing an opening theme by someone who was potentially drunk as he stumbled upon a few lines.
Here's Guido Anchovy, a wild romantic rover. This cat gets down with a love hangover.
And lots of puns.
God, everyone, even the one about where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on a Saturday night? If you're taking orders, Guido, I like my bird a little crispy on the outside.
Yeah, but watch out for heartburn.
While Tayande was a comedic series as well, this cranked it up to 11. While it first premiered on ITV in the UK in 1990, Samurai Pizza Cats first premiered in North America on YTV in 1993, 3 years before America would get the series in first-run syndication. The series lasted for 51 episodes. It has had a cult following for the insane dub it had, to the point where they were originally pitched to be a part of the game Tatsunoko vs. Capcom for the Wii, but couldn't get an agreement when it came to the licensing issues. This wasn't the only show that had this problem. Speed Racer was never added into the game either. The series, as well as Ninja Cat Legend Tayande, are currently available on Blu-ray and DVD, courtesy of Discotech Media, and also have streaming releases on Crunchyroll and Tubi. It is a crazy series, and I couldn't have it any other way. Now the next series was YTV's first big success when it comes to anime, and for this, we may need to look at the pale moonlight. Sailor Moon, based on the manga by Naoko Takeuchi, was about a girl named Serena, who stumbled upon a mysterious cat named Luna that gave her the power of the moon. When she gives her signature call,
Moon Prism Power!
she transforms into Sailor Moon to stop the evil forces of Queen Beryl and the Negaverse. She wasn't alone in the fight, as she was joined by other Sailor Scouts, Sailor Venus, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars, Sailor Jupiter, and the cousin duo, Sailor Uranus and Neptune. Seriously, why make that change? They were obviously lovers. They weren't even subtle about it either.
Amara. Huh? Don't worry. Your hands still look clean to me.
The censors made it more uncomfortable, especially at that point in time. And who could forget Tuxedo Mask, a champion of justice whose secret identity is Serena's love interest, Darien.
Hey, watch it, meatball head.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
A 30? Admirable.
No!
Are you stupid or just incredibly lazy?
The series was originally dubbed by
Beak.
and was heavily edited by adding transitions and a lesson of the day at the end with Sailor Says. It could have been worse. Instead of adapting the anime, there was an attempt at a live-action animated version of Sailor Moon by Tomb Makers Inc. That attempt never happened. And probably for the best. The D-dub was created by Optima Productions in Mississauga, Ontario, and had many Canadian voice actors involved, including Tracy Moore, Toby Proctor, and Jill Frappier. A second dub came in for its second season, Sailor Moon R, done by Cloverway Inc., and had many major changes in the voice cast, and several new inclusions, including a familiar face.
Maybe you wanting to be young again because math is easier, is selfish, and lazy. Yes, definitely lazy.
Stephanie Lynn Beard, aka Sugar, up-and-coming host of YTV's after-school block The Zone, was the voice of Sailor Mini-Moon, and many more Canadian talent were involved, including Linda Valentine and Susan Roman. The series was a hit in Canada, having a consistent time slot on YTV, which helped in the long run, considering it was having a hard time in America when it came to syndication. It wouldn't be until it began airing on Cartoon Network's Toonami in 1999 that it found its American success. The show lasted in Canada from 1995 to 1997, sadly showing only 2 seasons and 82 episodes, and did not release the other 3 seasons due to declining ratings. But it did have a pretty long rerun life, mainly in the very early mornings. And because of the long rerun life, YTV decided to release the other 2 seasons that were produced by Cloverwhite Inc., Sailor Moon S and Sailor Moon Super S. However, the story of Sailor Moon didn't stop there. The series recently found its proper conclusion, as in 2014, Viz Media began releasing all 5 seasons of Sailor Moon on DVD and Blu-ray, with an all-new English dub that was more faithful to the original source material, with the last season Sailor Moon Sailor Stars finally available in 2019. The Deke and Cloverwhite dubs may be hard to find as there were some releases on VHS and DVD, which both have been discontinued for a long time. When people think of the term Magical Girl, this is the first show that comes to mind, and it was a revolutionary series that many have followed in its footsteps. Now, the mid to late 90s was when anime exploded here, with shows like Dragon Ball Z, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Monster Rancher, and of course, Pokemon. Oh right, I can't talk about Pokemon on here in detail. It gets very strict around these parts. But long story short, Pokemon was YTV's juggernaut of anime for over a decade, up until around 2014 when it got moved to Teletoon. YTV promoted this series very well, not just in the commercials.
Did you know in the early days, Pikachu couldn't remember his lines? Learn your lines!
What's his name?
Say Pikachu. Pikachu. Mo-do-do-do. Cut.
But also through host segments of the after-school block, The Zone.
So, don't get upset. Just listen, okay? What happened is, because here at YTV we run Pokemon 5 days a week, we go through the episodes really, really quickly, and it seems as though the translators can't keep up.
On Saturdays, it was usually the first show after the Saturday morning blocks were done. Even when YTV was doing their all-day anime marathons in the early to mid-2000s, the big draw to each one was the latest Pokemon movie at the time. Pokemon also played a big part in the YTV Big Fun Party Mix series. Pokemon wasn't the only anime that was a part of the Big Fun Party Mix series, as the other 2 were Hamtaro and Beyblade. It paved the way for more productions to be brought here from 4Kids Entertainment, including Yu-Gi-Oh!, Sonic X, Shaman King, Mew Mew Power, and yes, the 4Kids dub of One Piece.
Here's how the story goes. We find out by the treasure in the grand line. There's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing, I'll be king. I'll be pirate king.
Man, the series itself was heavily censored, even worse than their previous productions. Shame that was the only version we had once Funimation got the rights. But there are other shows that focused on a gimmick that I can talk about. For this first one, we need a certain guest here.
Meta fighters, ready? Metabots, roll battle!
Ah, Metabots. Time for a road battle indeed. The show focuses on a boy named Icky, who is knowledgeable about Metabot fights, but unfortunately doesn't have one due to them being very pricey. He gets a cheaper model and finds a rare metal, which is the soul of a Metabot, and activates it to become a stubborn companion named Metabee.
Perfectly. I did nothing wrong.
Correction! You call me a piece of junk!
Huh?
Who's the piece of junk now, mister?
Now the two must work together in order to not just beat every opponent, but defeat the people searching for the rare metal that powers Metabee. One of these opponents was the Phantom Renegade, who hides his identity as a convenience store clerk. Which is pretty hilarious, seeing how he was the one who lost a metal that powered Metabee to begin with from a heist. Now this series has an interesting concept. Robots that fight in battles with the winner keeping a piece of the robot they defeated? It is often a gamble when it comes to which enemies you face. The Metabots themselves are pretty cool, having unique traits and abilities like electric claws, the ability to heal, and headcannons. Makes sense as to why gaining an opponent's Metabot piece takes logical sense. I think the dub of this series was very well done by Nirvana Entertainment, with a slightly more faithful dub, while still being able to ad-lib, keeping the original names and references to Japanese culture, like this strange chick dealer that shows up in most of the series.
Dig down deep into your pockets, take what little money you have, and for once, do the right thing. by one of my chicks. Huh? Where'd he go?
The dub was also not done in Calgary or Vancouver, but instead Toronto, and it was perfect for a specific scenario. The dub included a legend of Toronto to play the voice of the mysterious Rokusho.
No doubt you spend your life going from one row battle to the next.
You bet!
But I ask you this, what is it you're fighting for?
Tonight, City salutes new Canadians. Tonight, sharks in the water. Tonight, Valentine violins.
Mark Daly, the voice of City TV for 31 years, a Canadian legend in news broadcasting who not only reported it, but was helpful in the investigations of certain stories, as he tended to work alongside the local police. You knew you were watching City TV when you heard the line,
A pit stop at Nathan Phillips Square. This is City TV. Everywhere.
Done by him. A voice that has a lot of authority to it, and was all the more devastating that we lost him so soon, losing his long battle with cancer in 2010. He was not only a great reporter, but also had several voice acting roles under his belt, including not only Metabots, but also the Ripping Friends as the second voice of Krag, voiced originally by King Koopa himself, the late Harvey Atkins, and the voice of commentator Brad Best on our next show we will be talking about. Metabots lasted for 3 seasons with 91 episodes and have been made available on DVD by the defunct YTV Media. But recently the series was brought onto standard definition Blu-ray, courtesy of Discotech Media, with the 3rd and final season releasing in May of 2021. I announce that this Metabout comes to a close!
The winner is Metabee!
Now the next show up was when gimmicky anime went to full swing. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, let it rip! Beyblade, based on the manga series by Takao Aoki, was about a boy named Tyson Granger, who forms a team of Beybladers to take on the tournament scene around the world, with the power of their Beyblades and the bit beasts that are inside them. These were spinning tops made by Takara Tomy, and based on the toy the Beygoma, which is also how it's got its name. The tops have more balance to them with a metal plate that is wedged between the 2 plastic pieces to make them more durable and spin much longer, so they can clash. The team was known as the Blade Breakers, which includes the silent rival Kai Hiwatari, the calm and open-minded Ray Khan, the good-natured Max Tate, and the analyst of the group, Kenny.
The bottom line is Tyson is going to go down like the Titanic.
Why? Because he's a Kenny, that's why.
Aside from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, Beyblade kind of paved the way for more gimmick anime in the early 2000s, such as Battle Beat 'em On, which, real talk, this was pretty cool. It's Crossfire mixed with SD Gundam models, how cool was that? Duel Masters, Zoids, and Dice. The English dub was done by Nirvana Entertainment as well. Beyblade lasted from 2001 to 2004, with 3 seasons, with Beyblade, Beyblade V-Force, and Beyblade G-Revolution, with a combined total of 154 episodes. There was even a direct-to-video movie made called Beyblade Fierce Battle that took place between V-Force and G-Revolution. It had several game releases here, including a PS1 game, a GameCube and Game Boy Advance game for V-Force, and a Game Boy Advance game for G-Revolution. The series was made available in 2019 on standard definition Blu-ray courtesy of Discotech Media, and most of the series has been made available on the official YouTube channel, and also done in multiple languages. That is really cool. However, while Beyblade's original run was over, it surprisingly made a comeback in 2010 with Beyblade Metal Fusion, and the craze started all over again. There was even a toy spin-off called Bey Wheels. Those are just wheels, it's not the same! Beyblade was a pretty big part of the gimmick anime genre here in North America, having tournaments at conventions, and from YTV themselves with the Summer Festival tour Weird on Wheels. It may look silly, but that's what made the series fun! Now for this next one, it may be a hidden gem in YTV's anime catalog, and it's time to give it its due. Powerstone, based off the arcade game series by Capcom, takes place a long time ago. The story follows 7 magic jewels that with just one can give an individual unbelievable power. When all 7 are gathered, it grants the person a single wish. Why does that sound familiar? Anyways, our story follows Eddie Falcon, a pilot who wants to be the strongest fighter, despite his family's wishes as he searches for his long-lost father. He was gifted one of these stones, and when needed, he can use an ability called Power Change. That can turn himself into a human jet. It's not just him that can use this ability. Several others with the Power Stones can use this ability as well. One can turn into a stone golem, a fire breather, and... Oh, come on, that's just Super Saiyan. These fighters look for the Power Stones for their own dreams and ambitions, while also keeping them away from a band of pirates that want to use their power for evil. The series lasted for 26 episodes, and YTV was the exclusive North American broadcaster of Powerstone. There was a lot of voice acting talent when it came to the Powerstone series. There was Robert Tinkler as Eddie Falcon, George Buza as Kraken, and Edward Glenn? The current voice of YTV?
My blow. He was able to avoid it.
That's definitely him! And while it didn't get that much love, because it usually aired after Pokemon, it was a nice obscure surprise. The series was available on DVD courtesy of the defunct ADV Media, and is currently in anime limbo. Who knows? It could be found again someday. Now this next show goes for more cute routes. Hamtaro, based off the manga and storybook series created by Ritsuko Kawai, is summed up by its tagline, Little Hamsters, Big Adventures. The story revolves around Hamtaro, whom his owner Laura moved into a new town. While she is away at school, Hamtaro goes on adventures with the other local hamsters at their clubhouse as part of the Ham Ham gang, including the best friend Oxnard, the boss named, well, Boss.
Who are you? What are you doing? Quit sleeping on my kitchen table. Get up!
The nerdy one named Maxwell, and the love interest Bijou. They even have their own language, which they say for almost every single action possible. Got a sniff? There's a word for that. Eating something? There's a word for that. Yeah, it's basically onomatopoeia, where they say what they are doing. Though it definitely gets old pretty quick. The show itself is definitely more of a slice-of-life adventure with all the ham-hams, and honestly, I think it's okay, and harmless for the time of day that it was on, which was weekday afternoons. It was a different story for Hamtaro when it aired in the United States. Cartoon Network originally aired Hamtaro during its big action block, Toonami, and it really felt out of place. Even they were confused by it.
Oh, chicka, 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 when you're in the jam. Remember I'm your ham.
What's going on here? Well, they are kind of cute.
Eventually, they would air it in the weekday afternoons as well. The series ran in Japan for 296 episodes, though in North America, we would only get 105 of those episodes dubbed by the Ocean Group and distributed by Viz Media. Hamtaro even had 3 video games released here: Ham Hams Unite on the Game Boy Color, Ham Ham Heartbreak, and Ham Ham Games on the Game Boy Advance. Hell, Hamtaro even teamed up with Godzilla. Long story. It seems that little hamsters get into big adventures after all. Finally, we dive into another Magical Girl series that became a big franchise today, but maybe not when it first started. This is the tale of Pretty Cure. The story is about 2 girls whom at first were the polar opposites of each other. Natalie Blackstone being more outgoing, athletic, and a social butterfly, while Hannah Whitehouse was more shy and knowledgeable. They encountered 2 fairies from the Garden of Light named Mipple and Mepple that needed their help, giving the 2 girls cell phones and cards that, when used, transformed them into the Emissaries of Light, Cure Black, and Cure White. On top of balancing their social and school lives, together they take on the evil forces of the Dark Zone. Over time, they become the best of friends, and introduced to the lineup was a new fairy who is the Prince of the Garden of Light, Poron.
I didn't want you to feel left out.
Didn't want me to feel left out? Thanks for being so considerate!
Oh god! The series originally premiered in Japan in 2004 with 49 episodes, but was given an English dub courtesy of the Ocean Group in 2009. The strange thing about the Ocean dub was that it showed up for 1 year, and then it was never seen again due to licensing issues in 2010. The series upon its initial release in Japan was kind of slept on, but grew more of a cult following afterwards, and was given a second season called Pretty Cure Max Heart, which we sadly never got. Pretty Cure eventually became one of the biggest girl franchises in Japan, standing alongside the likes of Sailor Moon, even having a couple of cameo team-ups with 2 of the big tokusatsu franchises, Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, as they shared the same Sunday morning time slot. The Ocean Dub was also seen in the UK, as we usually shared our dub projects with them. It's a shame that the Ocean Dub didn't get as much traction as it could have had with the Canadian broadcast. Originally, Pretty Cure was actually going to be dubbed by 4Kids Entertainment. This announcement was in 2006, however, it never came to be. Though it was never stated why. Though some have speculated that it could have been the poor reception of both Mew Mew Power and Magical Do-Re-Mi. The rights would later fall into the hands of Ocean Productions. Believe it or not, another season of Pretty Cure was actually going to be done by Ocean Productions, primarily Blue Water Studios. This season was going to be Pretty Cure Splash Stars, and sadly, aside from a trailer, nothing else came from it. In 2011, another company would try and get another series off the ground. This is William Winkler Productions, and they would try and make the series Yes Pretty Cure 5. However, aside from a trailer, nothing came to be. By the way, what has William Winkler Productions been working on recently? Oh, recent movies and spin-offs for Ultraman! That's awesome! However, the tale of Pretty Cure didn't stop there for the people of North America, as another company tried their attempt with it, and was once again tasked to Saban Brands. Their project was known as Glitter Force. They dubbed 2 seasons of a few later Pretty Cure seasons with a total of 40 episodes between the two. The second season was known as Glitter Force Doki Doki. Admittedly, the Ocean dub sounded much better. And both seasons are available exclusively through Netflix. Sadly, the Ocean dub for Pretty Cure is almost considered lost media. Now if you want to check out the Pretty Cure series for yourself, the original series is available in subtitles for free on Tubi. And Crunchyroll has the original series and some of the later seasons, such as the current series as of this recording, 2021's Tropical Rouge Pretty Cure, currently being simulcasted, 2020's Heal and Good Pretty Cure, and 2017's Kira Kira Pretty Cure a la mode that you can see with a premium subscription. A new Magical Girl franchise stood on stage, and while it didn't get a strong enough following in North America, it became a strong franchise all its own. Our tale with the weekday and Saturday morning anime is done, but not our tale into YTV's history of anime. When we come back, we may need to gather a few things and wish for one of YTV's biggest anime sagas.
Next time on the YTV Retrospective.
Check this out.